We are pleased to be joined by the seasoned author and writer, Dora Isaac-Weithers. Dora is here to tell us about the release of her newest book, Older and Stronger, Spiritual Nourishment for Aging Christians. Pleasure to meet you, Dora, and welcome to Good Morning.
Nice being here, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so first of all, the book has a very interesting title, and I want you to tell us about that, Older and Stronger, if we can take that part first.
Well, it's written for the aging population. I deal a lot with seniors, especially in my church, and I find that there are some seniors who happen to enjoy life all the time, and there are others who are down, like they're lacking something or wanting something more. And what that usually means is that they are giving into the feeling of what's happening to the body. But we are more than body. We have spirit, we have soul. And there is a way to feed the spirit even while the body is aging. And so my book, I hope, will help seniors realize that they can still be strong in spirit even though their body is declining.
Have you gotten any pointers from the seniors that seem to be always in a good spirit to share with those that are gloomy on days?
Well, those who are mostly happy are contented. And another big thing about them is that they're purposeful. They have a purpose. They still have a reason to get up. They're working on something, and that keeps them alive. Whereas some seniors would just, what are you working on? Nothing in particular, Yeah. So purpose and contentment.
Well, let's talk about that, because obviously you've been working on this book, otherwise it wouldn't be here with us today.
Right.
So I suppose that gave you purpose as well. How long did it take you?
It's a compilation of things that I've written over the years. So it probably took me about 6 months to arrange everything, the way I wanted.
And that process, as you were going through it, in terms of the purpose that you speak to older people needing, tell us about your purpose.
My purpose, I believe right now, is to be an option for those older people who are not living as fully as they should be. I want to give them some encouragement. I want them to look at me and see that even though I have my aches and pains, just like them, that I could still find a reason to do something, to work at something. And so I really want to infect my aging group with the fact that life could still continue to be joyful and happy.
Indeed. And now that your book is finally out, how does that make you feel?
Great. It's going to be a part of my legacy. I want, people to still have the ideas even long after, I'm gone.
Well, you've put it into writing, so I think that definitely ensures that. What topics are covered in the book?
I deal with things like, the basis of the book is that if we keep building on purpose, on the virtues that last, faith, hope, and love, if we keep nurturing those virtues in us, we will continue to live. And that's the premise of the book.
Faith, hope, and love. Okay, so...
And purpose.
Faith, hope, love, and purpose. And can't miss the purpose. As we talk about faith, how do you communicate to the older people the importance of that virtue through writing?
The importance of faith?
Yes.
When we were children, we learned that faith is asking God for something. When He gives it to you, you think, oh, my faith works. As you grow older, you realize that it's not always that easy, that there are times the answer you want seems to be so far, and you expect that God will just give it to you, but sometimes He wants to teach you something before He delivers whatever you're asking for. So He takes you through a little hardship, a little trial. You learn to grow, you learn patience, stuff like that. And then finally, after you've grown, after you're ready for what you have asked, then He delivers.
As I was listening to you speak, I couldn't help but think of patience. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because really that's what we were taught when we were growing up. Substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. When you get that thing, you believe, well, my faith works. What of those people who don't receive it right away? Is their faith dead? Is their faith broken? Is their faith not working? So I'm glad that you explained it that way.
Well, faith is also believing in God even when he doesn't deliver us, even when he doesn't deliver, when you want him to deliver. Exactly. The thing is that you keep your focus on him, because if he can't give it, nobody else can. So there is no reason to stop focusing on him. And sometimes he wants you to focus more. Maybe he has something to teach you. Maybe he wants to get closer to you. Maybe he wants to do something special in you. And so he's holding out for you to become what you ought to become before he delivers.
I like that. So, Ms. Withers, how do you personally grapple with the reality of aging?
I can't stop it. So I might well embrace it.
Yes.
And one of the things I do, I tell myself there are things that I haven't done before because I never got the chance. Why am I alive? If not to try some of those things. There's some things I wanted to do. I have the time now, so I keep telling myself there's a reason for me living as long as I lived. And my part of my purpose is to ensure that I tap into some of those things and fulfill my purpose as fully as possible.
I like that.
So every day is a new opportunity.
There you go.
To do something perhaps that you've not done before.
That you didn't do before.
I love that. That speaks to purpose. That speaks to living life the way that life should be lived. Because you're still living. That's the reality. I think some of us think that when we get to a certain age, we really have lived, and so we stop living, and there's not much to look forward to. I love the way that you're explaining it. There is a weekly devotional as part of this book, Monday Manna, weekly morsels of encouragement. Well, this is your previous work, actually.
Yes.
Okay, I don't want to talk about your previous work yet. I want to get more into this, so let's do that. All right, so as I was listening to you speak, I couldn't help but think, your title speaks to it being for aging Christians, but does it also speak to older people who might have been disgruntled by their experiences, saddened by their experiences? Can they find hope through your words?
Well, that disgruntlement and all the other things you talk about could happen to Christians as well as non-Christians. So the book can really serve anybody. Anybody could find hope in it. And gratitude, contentment, virtues like that, which you expect to find in a Christian, are also found in non-Christians. So really, the title on the book doesn't mean that people who are not Christians should not embrace it, because they could also learn. They can also receive hope and encouragement.
All right, good to know.
Before we continue, I'm looking at the illustration, and it's an aging person with a teacup. Who came up with that illustration?
I did. I asked for an old hand, so you could see some wrinkles in the hand. And I wanted a cup because in the book are very short devotionals, which I compared to a cup full of morsel. So the nourishment is received every day in a cup full.
Oh, you were really intentional. I love the intentionality of it.
And then after that devotional, which I expect people will read at the beginning of the week, for the rest of the week, there's a little activity, a prayer, a meditation, or something to keep you focused on the nourishment that you got on the first day of that week.
All right, so we are talking about this book for now. Where is it available?
It is available at Law's Bookstore on Keon Street, and also at the Adventist Book Center, also on Keon Street West, I think. Yeah.
Have you gotten feedback from people who've purchased your book or who've read, or have you, given copies to people to ask, what do you think of this, etc.?
Yes, I've gotten feedback from even a younger person who said that they were glad that they read it before aging, because it gives them, a perspective on what to expect and how to embrace life. And some of it, because I have written it before, I also write online, and I do a lot of devotionals, and other people have told me, how encouraged they are when they read, and, it gives them hope that they could, enjoy life. One of the questions I asked in the beginning of the book is, what if God has kept us to this point because he wants our children and grandchildren to see him bless us? What if he wants them to see how we handle the blessing? So it's not only for us, it's for the people around us, people are watching. Like I say, we become options to people who think, oh, aging is miserable, oh, don't age. There are some people who say that, don't get old, whatever you do, What's the alternative to getting old?
You know what the alternative is? You die.
You die. So why not embrace it and find use for it?
Mm-hmm. I like this. I like that this is giving me what to expect before I get there. So
yes.
I'm definitely going to go out and get one of these books.
Yes.
Ms. Withers, how long have you been writing?
Well, online, I started writing in 2011.
Okay.
But I've always liked to write. Since I was in school, I like to write little notes. I met a lady on Facebook the other day, and she said, are you the Dora Isaac who used to live in Montserrat, such and such? And I said, yes. And she said, oh, I remember those notes you used to hand out, to the younger people. And I've always wanted to communicate that way.
Okay.
So I guess that's it for me.
Wow. So it's way back.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, now I can get to the part about your previous works. So there was a weekly devotional, Monday Manna, weekly morsels of encouragement for your spiritual walk. Are some of those works in this book?
There's one story I remember taking from that book. And you want me to tell you what it is?
Of course.
It was about a memory I had of my father. My father died before I was old enough to know him. So I only know what people say about him. And I was working in Montserrat for 2 years. I had a 2-year contract. And when I was leaving, a gentleman came to me and he asked me, there was a guy in St. Kitts that had your last name. I don't know if he was related to you. He said, but he lived in St. Kitts, and my youth group had gone to St. Kitts, and their youth group took care of us. And this gentleman was so very kind to me that I wanted to repay him, but he died before I got the chance. Well, this man who was talking to me, he had always been very kind to me. He worked at the agriculture department, and he brought me vegetables and fruits and nice things for no reason, or we thought no reason. So when he told me about this guy and I asked him questions, I said, well, another guy. And he said, really? I am so sorry that I didn't get to repay him. And I said, you did. And he said, how? I said, you repaid his daughter. And he was just, so excited. He said, if I had not been kind to you, I could not live with myself. But what I draw from that is that what we do in our youth impacts age. Yes. And then, look at me, I'd never known him. But at that moment when he told me that, I loved my father so much for being as kind and as generous as he was, and for leaving a legacy of kindness that I could benefit from. And that tells us that in our age, because I think in that same devotional I said, it's never too late to start sowing seeds of kindness. You never know who will benefit from it. It could be your children, your grandchildren. So you see, aging has its pleasures in that what you've done before come up and embrace you in your age and make you feel like, I really lived for a purpose.
Great.
I love that.
It's a great story.
I love that. Inspiration. I know sometimes as authors, you be like, what do I write about next? Where do you get your inspiration from?
I love to read the Bible, and I have a reputation of telling Bible stories differently than other people do, because I look for the things that I think are very applicable. So I get inspiration from Bible stories mostly, but I get inspiration from things around the house, things in the garden. I do some gardening. Just anything could give you inspiration. I think once you're in that mindset that this is my purpose, I think God gives you the insight to pick up these things.
I love that.
Wow, well, I can't believe that we're just about out of time, but quickly I want to run through some of your other works. So there's a workbook for The True Love Waits. There's another workbook, Purity Cycle. What can you tell us about these two?
It's one book.
Oh, it is.
Purity Circle workbook. I wrote that for young girls who have the desire to live pure, and by that I mean sexual abstinence, and just live with integrity and live a life where they are productive and makes them enjoy, happy womanhood. We stress a lot about virginity when we talk about purity, but that isn't all to it. It is purity in your attitude, purity in, because people now are so disrespectful, so, rude, not polite and stuff like that. But you want a character that spells purity. So there could be a girl out there who is a virgin but so rude. And there could be a girl out there who fell off the wagon, maybe did something she shouldn't do, but then she comes around to the point where that's not the life I want, and she begins to live a life of integrity. And if I were a guy, I would choose her over the one who is still a virgin. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not downplaying virginity. That is very important, yes. But I'm saying that's not all to it.
I like the explanation.
Yeah. So that was that. That workbook also had a pledge. So when they were done with the book, because I wrote it to accommodate groups, when they were done, they pledged friendships with somebody else in the group who would continue to encourage them, because now it's so easy to keep in touch.
Yes,
so that
sort
was
of like an accountability buddy.
Yes, exactly, accountability. Because we all need that.
Yes.
So are these workbooks available for sale as well?
I think you can still get it on Amazon. It's more than 7 years old, so yeah, but it's still on Amazon.
I love the way that you've written. This one is for aging people. Yeah. The other one was for young people, so I love the way that you've...
Well, I think I'm writing for myself at every age.
I like that, writing for yourself at every age.
Right, well, our time is just about up, but before we go again, I want to give you one opportunity to speak to the public. You can look into that camera, and you can tell them why they should get a copy of this book.
I think this book is good for everybody. People who are nearing aging sometimes are scared. I know my mother she became a victim of Alzheimer's, and that in itself is scary for me, because every time I do something that's, not so kosher, I'm thinking, am I going to be like my mother? And I'm sure there are other people nearing aging, because I'm already old, who have these kind of fears. My book will allay those fears, because what it says to you is that you are only responsible to do what you're supposed to be doing. And if you keep at your post, whatever it is, if you continue to pursue your purpose, whatever it is, you're going to end up in a good place, even when you're older. And when you're older, you want to have a spiritual connection. I don't know how to live in a world where people are not connected with God, because God is wisdom, God is insight, God is strength, God is everything you need to take you through your life at whatever age. And when we get to aging, I think we have more time to celebrate, because He's been so good over the years, and you want to spread that. I meet old people and I hate to see them gloomy.